Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Chakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom salutation to you sincere Akims across the four winds, pushing this truth with sincerity of heart. I'm your fellow servant, Kasama God from the DC camp, coming at you through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Hakodash, to feed the elect. Now, this is an edition of the Watchtower, and it's gonna be real quick, man. It's some major developing news that I came across, and I just want to share this with the hopeful elect out of the nation of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right, the 144,000 and the 1/3. All right, because we living in the times, we living in the evil days, and there's some pretty bad stuff that's getting ready to take place. 2022, everything is going to be turned up, man. It's going to be a year of extreme chaos, and the elites have given up the word. They've given out the word, basically let there be chaos. And this is, I believe, finally the year where you're going to witness the chaos that the scriptures have been talking about over 2,000 years ago. All right. So now this is out of yourdailyjournal.com. All right. And this has been taking place for the past couple of days. I've heard about this, but finally the spirit, kind of had me jump on it. It says special forces to conduct Robin Sage training exercise throughout region. So you got the United States Special Forces. Actually, I'm just going to read it. It says Fort Bragg. It says this month, Special Forces candidates will participate in the Robin Sage training exercise held within multiple North Carolina counties as the final test of their Special Forces qualification course training. It says between January 22nd through February 4th, students will participate in this exercise before graduating the course and moving on to their first assignments in the Army Special Forces community. Robin Sage is a 2 weeks culmination exercise. The participants are students at the U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School, based out Fort Bragg. The exercise is fictional country of Pineland encompasses Alamance, Anson, Bladen, Brunswick, Cabarrus, Chatton, Columbus, Cumberland, Davidson, Guilford, Harnett, Hoke, Lee, Montgomery, Moore, New Hanover, Randolph. I'm just going to skip all that because I guess those are all the counties. It says throughout the exercise, military and civilian support personnel, as well as community volunteers who serve as auxiliary, will participate in and or provide support during each of these exercises. Well, what they're talking about, that's a pretty way to basically say they have citizens that are acting as they're actors, they're crisis actors. All right, they have crisis actors that basically are going to act as a rowdy population in case of a national emergency. Example, let's say there's a so-called hacking situation, false flag hacking situation that takes place. And, the power grid goes off, the people will go nuts. So, of course, right now, the training, that tells you right now that the number one training in the U.S. military right now is not to train for chaos coming from abroad. They really, the number one training course is going on throughout the U.S. military, especially the reserves, is about how to deal with a rowdy United States population. Why? Because the government knows that the economy is getting ready to collapse. They know society is collapsing on all levels. The fuel is going up. Food prices going up. Hyperinflation, meaning the chicken are coming home to roost, and therefore they preparing the boots to get ready to kick people in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Basically, but it's not gonna be like in these third world nations or in Europe, where a lot of people don't have a lot of these nations in Europe, they're not armed. Their citizenry don't believe in being armed, so most of them are not armed. That's the reason why you have these new world order mandates from the Rothschilds and Rockefeller and so on and so forth through these governments, and all these mandates are being passed, and there's really nothing but marches going on because the majority of these populations are not armed. But the reason why you haven't had those mandates to that extent, to those draconian mandates yet here in the United States, aka the Virgin Daughter of Babylon, is because of the Second Amendment. Is because the elites are well aware of how armed the population is. So they have to make sure that the military and the reserves that are here are armed, trained, and psychologically ready to open fire on their own citizens. All right. And I know it sounds crazy because there's a constitutional law, posse comitatus, if I'm not mistaken, that prevents the military, but that's going to be tossed to the side. You better believe that. There's so many so-called laws of freedom of speech and all. There's so many constitutional laws that are being broken up and getting rid of right now. It's not even funny. You know what I'm saying? So trust and believe that I think it's I just said it too. But that law that prevents the military from actually marching down the streets of the U.S., that's going to be disregarded in a time of national security. So that's the reason why the training is taking places. All right. So it says, let me go back. It says military service members from units across Fort Bragg will also support the exercise. These military members act as realistic opposing forces and guerrilla freedom fighters. You see that? So because if the United States military go to war against its people, it's not going to be a conventional warfare. It's going to be a guerrilla warfare. All right. It's going to be people getting caught off, in different places, like, in homes, people getting, bum rushed in places they didn't even think of. So it's going to be a totally different type of warfare. And this is all the plot. This is all the plot of the elites, because it's time. They're ready to pull the plug on this thing. Odo Opko is going green, meaning the operation is getting ready to go alpha. And the Lord has sanctioned it in the scriptures, and I'm going to prove it. All right. It says, also known as Pineland's resistance movement, these troops play a critical role in the training exercise. To add realism to the exercise, civilian volunteers throughout the state act as role players, crisis actors. Participation by these volunteers is crucial to the success of this training, and past trainees attest to the realism they add to the exercise. Right. So you have actual U.S. citizens that are helping the military psychologically be prepared to manhandle its own people, and they get a paycheck for it. So that's beautiful. Yeah, listen, if you're an Edomite and you're awake to this, I know you pissed off, boy. I know you pissed off because you know exactly what's happening, man. We're at the doorstep of a civil war. The government is well aware. The numbers on the poll show the deep divide, between red state and blue states. I mean, it's not even close. People are ready to go at it, man. I think that it's obvious that people are ready to go. All right. And it's time for blood to be shed. And there's no stopping what's coming down the pipe. It's been a long time coming. This land was discovered by blood, and it's gonna end by blood. I mean, there's no going around that. All right. The unfortunate thing is like, well, you can say unfortunate, but it's really fortunate. 2/3, which is the majority of you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, according to the Bible, you're going to get caught into this madness and you're going to die. So that's the, I was going to say unfortunate, but that's really, really fortunate. And but the real true fortunate thing is that the elect are going to be saved and delivered and kept safe. So yeah, this is it's mainstream. I don't know. They're not talking about it on super mainstream, but it's in the news. This is WGHP Fox 8, U.S. Army to fight guerrilla freedom fighters in Central North Carolina as part of unconventional warfare exercise. And you see this guy, he's moving as a regular militia, right? Which you have a lot of red state U.S. citizens are into the militia. All right, so the U.S. is getting ready. I mean, the military is getting ready. This is fact. This ain't made up. This ain't conspiracy theory. All right, the military, they don't just do these exercises for no reason. We talking about the U.S. Army. We talking about the most prolific army known to man in the history of the history of the human species. You think they're just gonna be doing these trainings for no apparent reason? And then you see the climate that's going on in the U.S. right now. You think it's for no apparent reason? Do you think it's just conspiracy? Come on, man. You gotta smell the coffee, man. We're not in Kansas anymore, man. All right. And that's called Operation Robin Sage. All right. So now let's jump straight to the scriptures. This is the book of Isaiah. This is the book of Isaiah 19. It says the burden of Egypt. This Egypt right here is referring to modern day Egypt, not ancient Egypt. All right. The modern day Egypt in the spirit is talking about the United States. OK, it says, behold, the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem shall rideth upon a swift cloud. So like it shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Right, when the Lord comes back, especially Yahweh Shah, you know what I'm saying? Because Yahweh Shah is coming back in the name of Yahweh. You know, he's coming back. He's the one showing up. You know, it's going to be, I mean, listen, I can't even explain because I don't, you know, we just go by what the scripture said, but you could just imagine. But prior to that, verse 2, it says, and I will set the Egyptians, right, the modern day Americans, against the Egyptians, meaning against modern day Americans. So that's why you're going to have blue, red state. You're going to have those civil unrest, civil wars. You're going to have the government get involved. It's going to get nasty. All right. So I'm going to read it again. Isaiah 19:2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor. City against city and kingdom against kingdom. So you're going to have that. You're going to have that. All right. That's going to happen. And you can already see the training exercises because Esau's totally aware that that's going down. It's part of his plans. But what he doesn't understand is that's ultimately the plans of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shah. All right. So now let me go to this is Luke chapter 11, verse 17. It says, all right, that's when Yahushua is being tempted. All right, it says, and others tempting him sought of him a sign from heaven. But he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. So what you're seeing now, you're witnessing the fall of the virgin daughter of Babylon. All right, and Babylon's own military is aware of it. That's why they're making their preparations to make sure that, you know, they're able to, you know, take care of business. I'm gonna just put it down like that. All right. So yeah, because, you know, you got to be wise with your words out here, man. I mean, you talking about being canceled, that's one thing, but anything that you put out there can and most definitely will be used against you in the court, in the devil's court. But it's all good, though, because at the end of the day, man, we've been guilty in the devil's court. But we're guiltless in the court of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shah. I mean, why? Because the blood of Yahweh Shah is sprinkled upon us, and he's given us this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, boldness of lying. So we don't, man, listen, we don't, hey, you know, we're going to keep it a buck, like they say. We're going to keep it 100 through the spirit. I'm going to finish with this. This is Numbers 35 and 33. It says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So, like I said, man, it's time, man. It's time. The blood has been shed in the very beginning, and blood has to be shed at the very end. So, you know, the amount of blood that's going to be shed in these streets, man, it's going to get crazy, man. You know, and well, actually, I had one more. 2nd Ezra 16 and 40. Oh, my people, now the Lord speaking to Israel, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the elect. Oh, my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle. So make yourself ready, man. Make yourself ready, you Israelite men, you Israelite women, and the young men that are been listening to this gospel, been watching the apostles, watching the brothers, man, helping the church. Get yourself ready, man. Get yourself spiritually and mentally ready. You know what I'm saying? And listen, this thing is about to go down, man. It is gonna get once it goes off here. Forget what you see over there in Europe. It's different because they're not armed, so the government is gonna clamp down on them with ease. But when the government starts to clamp down here, it's gonna be a bomb going off. It's gonna be nuts. You got a lot of people out here on drugs. You got all kinds of demons. I mean, people have no morality. The worst. This place was already bad, but you're gonna see the worst out of the human species, regardless of nation, including the nation of Israel, out of this place when this society collapses, man. It's gonna be a total, absolute hell. All right. So I'm gonna read that again. All my people, hear my word. Make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. So you gotta be ready to be on the move, and the spirit moves, and the spirit is gonna move us, whether it be mentally, spiritually, and yes, physically as well. Call halam la Yahweh Shemel Shah double honor to our apostles and elders of great millstone. Shalom salutation. G Sensei Akims across the four winds, pushing this truth with sincerity of heart. Cause I'm going from the DC camp. Shalom.